Yeah, tell me a little bit about you and anything that you want to understand about design.
Okay, so well, as you know, I'm Jessica, and currently, as of now, I'm pursuing BA English honors, but I don't actually see myself doing anything with those subjects I have. And then I don't know, I've always wanted to do something creative and make an impact while I'm earning.
Okay.
And what better than giving people a place that they can, be happy in? And
Right.
that's obviously good. So the thing about right now is my parents, I don't think they'll support this. They don't know it that I'm actually working towards it. And
Right.
so I wanted someone to actually guide me and tell me how do I go about this. I'm
I
actually
would say
looking
your
forward to it.
story is not very different. I was, in fact, in a very similar one. You can say same position as you. I was also doing
Mhm.
BA in English. I also didn't like
Oh,
it. And I was like, yeah, I also didn't like it. And I was like, I want to do something creative. My parents were like, you're crazy. What do you mean? So
exactly.
completely understand where you're coming from. And I think the same vision that you have, it's about doing something you're not 100% sure you love it, but you do know the end of it. By doing this, you'll make other people happy by them staying in places they like, or designing a space that they'll see every day that helps them, grow as people too, right? So that's a great vision to have. So that's like one part of it. Now that you know what you want, it's like, how do I reach there? What all do I need to do? And where do I start? And just everything, right? So first thing what happens is in interior design, and there is one standard way of doing interior design, which is the traditional form, which basically includes like you learn all the technical parts of it, like you have all your drawings. So I'm not getting too deep into that, but you have like, let's say, your furniture layouts, your electrical layouts, all those technical items, which we normally make on a software now. Before, people used to take paper pen and draw it. Now technology has come in, so we use softwares to do that. Then what happens is that sometimes people can't visualize on a 2D space. Like, if you just give them a paper, they can't really understand how it's going to look in actual. So something that we additionally do is make 3D visuals. So you get a full walkthrough. There are various ways to do this also. Now that you have AI also. But if you don't want to use AI, I'm not a big fan of AI when it comes to this part of it. Because this is the part I love doing, right? So there are also 3D visuals which we make. This also comes with the software. So the main very important thing in interior designing is to learn your softwares. Because what happens in interior design, a lot of people think like, yes, I want a Pinterest board and I just want it to come alive. Now, as much as I love the idea, that's not how simple it is. You have to learn is measurements and your softwares and materials. These are the three most important things if you want to be a great designer. Now, when you go to school, unfortunately, any course you do, right, they only teach you very basics. They don't teach you so much about what will actually come into practicality. So, for example, what I did is there are a couple of courses which are very intense, like 3 years, 4 years for interior design. So, what I did is I just did the 2 year course. At that time, that was the minimum possible. And alongside that, I did my degree. Like, for example, I did my BA alongside that. So, I didn't actually go to college to learn. I just did my exams, got my degree, ki, I have something with me. But I was actually studying interior design because the hours in a course for interior design, like if you apply to a college, for example, I went to Rachna Sansad. Some of the good ones are Rachna's, there's Raheja. Raheja is more for architecture though, but it does have interior design. Then there's Parsons. There are a couple of colleges. So that's the second aspect. Is first is like, do you really want to do this? So because nobody in my close family, friends, nobody was even close to interior design. I'm like, what if I'm just excited about it, but I don't have it in me to do it, or what if I'm not going to enjoy it? So what I recommended is do what I do. I did a very short course on softwares. Like now you have online also. I can send you some links later. You can just call them up and they'll arrange online classes for you. Basically, they will teach you the software. Because if you don't have the patience to work on the software, you cannot do interior design. Like it's out of out of the mind. Like don't even think of it. So first is I would say just do a short, very, very short course where you just understand the basic of the the softwares. Are you interested in doing that or not? Second thing is, I would say there are tons of exhibitions happening all around. Like, which city are you from?
Ludhiana.
Ludhiana. Okay. So I'm sure there are many in your city as well. I'm from Mumbai, but there are exhibitions all over. Maybe one day you could come down to a city like Mumbai, Delhi. They have very, very big interior exhibitions. Just walk around. Just see other materials, something that's really vibing with you. Even there are a lot of YouTube videos you can even see on that. But physically being there, seeing it, I feel gives you better impact. So any one of the weekends that you're a little bit free, just go around an exhibition. Or second alternative, you have a lot of these stores. Even in your city, you will have. So normally you have pockets of them. Like one area is full for, let's say, the carpentry materials, like your plywood, laminates, all of that. One could be all for furniture, one could be all for lights. So just go and visit the stores. You'll get a feel of what it is actually in the market and what actually you see in just pictures. So these are three things I would recommend. One is do the softwares. Okay. Second is either go to exhibitions which are happening throughout the year or just go to normal material vendors. Now, when you go there, you ask them two things to show you what's new in the market. Tell them cost, what is the approx costing for all of these? Because what happens is now when you're new in the market, they'll be like, she doesn't know anything, we'll just quote her anything, and then you will pay whatever you want, and then the client will be like, what the hell, you made me pay more, you're taking money from this, unnecessarily your name will go down. So mainly is get your knowledge fully intact. Now, if you liked doing this whole exercise, then I would say do a course in interiors. Do the shortest course possible because hopefully no one can hear me. You don't learn anything in the course. Like going to college is just for the certificate. The actual thing you learn is when you A work and you actually go to the site. So there are a lot of interior designers who, if you request them, they actually don't mind you coming to site and just helping you out. Even professors in your college, what they used to do is like if we used to really request them, they used to take us one day to their site and just give us an overview. So you get to know the whole story because interior designing, right? One is the things that I told you, that is all the software related stuff. The second thing is you have to coordinate with, I'll tell you number of people, you have to coordinate with contractors. Contractors are basically your carpenter, electrician, plumber, all those people who actually do the work. Okay. Second thing you have to coordinate is all the vendors. Vendors are basically all the people you buy the material from. So supposing you're buying the plywood or the lights or the furniture, those are your vendors. So you have to constantly be like, when is the material coming? Constantly coordinate with them. And then the third thing is your clients. You have to learn how to deal with the clients because clients hire the designer, but they want to be the designer themselves too. So, the knack of how to deal with the client is a whole different experience, which no book is going to teach you, no course is going to teach you. It's going to come with experience and trying and observing, is what I would say. Observe the person who's doing it. That's the best way to learn. So, these three things is, I don't want to overwhelm you, be like, do this, do this, do this. These three, step one is, like I said, uh, go to exhibitions, understand the materials. Second step is just do a short course on softwares. If you pass this, then search for a course and just do the shortest course you get possible just to get your certificate and then apply for a job where you will really, really learn all of this. Also, I've made a very, very, very mini version of a course. It's not even 1% of what I want to actually help people with. But maybe it's like just 4 5 hours ka. Whenever you get a chance, you can just have a quick look at it. And I can do another call to guide you also. But it will give you an overview of what interior design is. But mainly it's vendor and people coordination and knowledge of your materials. These are the main two things about interiors that at this stage that you need to know. And then comes all the pretty things like where do I buy the material? So like the colors. So there's like colors, there's lighting, there's all these fun things, which is the complete my favorite part of the designing part. And the most favorite is when everything that you've designed comes into reality, and then the client gives you a nice long message saying, "Thank you for designing this for me." That's my favorite part of this job, to be honest. And then the second thing is, if you don't want to get too much into this, there's a second thing called as interior styling. So styling is less to do with the technicals. So if you're not, for example, like when you did this exercise, if you didn't enjoy doing so much of the technical part of it, you can do styling. Styling is basically you give a makeover to the space with small elements. So like you won't have to break the walls, you won't have to do all of that. You just add like a nice curtain, you add a nice artwork, you add some rugs, just finishing touches basically. So if you're not liking the interior design, if you're finding that too much, there's always an option for interior styling. And the third thing, which is in this, which is something I have just started, nobody in India does it yet. It's called e-design. So that's a very new concept. So for that, you don't have to go to the site, because going to the site is sometimes a little hectic. It can be like sometimes 5 hours of your day, 6 hours of your day standing with no heat, like only heat, no window, no AC, nothing. So that it's harsh conditions basically. So what I do now is I just give the designs. Like I will give the so there are two parts of it. One is design and one is execution. So the design part is the stuff which I told you, which is all the planning, the materials, the 3D views. And the execution is basically where you have to interact with all the contractors to make sure that those drawings are accurately done to make it come alive correctly. So what I now do is I don't do the execution part. Like you have these turnkey contractors which you can hire and they manage that part for you. So it becomes a less of a headache for you. But this is something I don't think anyone else is doing, at least in India yet. But it's been quite a blessing for me. So just giving you the options out there. Feel free to try all three and then see what works for you. But these are the main three things you can do in relation to interior design.
What were the major challenges you faced while you started on this path? Like, if you could share those so that I can know that
So, are
I'll
you
be facing
asking
them.
me this as a starting my own firm or just as an interior designer? Like, what is
As
your
both.
okay?
Honestly, I don't see myself working in a firm. I would rather be an independent freelancer or start my firm or something like that, but not under someone.
So
So
if
both.
your end goal is to start something on your own, which is similar to what I also had, I would still say do a bit of work experience with someone else, because that is very important before you start your own firm. Because firstly, what happened is you also are young. I was also, I think, what, 23, 24 when I started my own company. So what, and we look younger than we are. So, and we're unfortunately we're girls, the market and the society is such, right? So what happens is when you anyways look young, you are a girl, it's very challenging because people will not take you seriously, people will not want to pay you the right amount. They call it fishing in the market, right? So they'll go to 100 other designers, they'll try to get as much information and as much work from you for free and then not even give you the project. So there are certain ways to overcome this, which I don't want to overwhelm you right now. Like when you decide to go ahead, I'll help you with all of that. But these are challenges I faced. People will literally expect you to design for them for free, especially if you're young and you don't have much experience. They'll be like, "Are there are so many out there. Why can't you do it? You've just started. At least you're getting a project." They don't respect you enough. So that is why when you work for somebody else, so what I recommend is work for a big firm and work for a small firm. So when I did that, I understood like 90% of how this world works in terms of what they expect from you. Because when you work for a small firm, you learn all the smaller things which in a big firm they don't let you do, because you have other teams doing that for you. But when you work for a big firm, you get to work with high end clients, like people who have high budgets. So the whole way of doing interior designing is different. Whereas when you work for a small firm, you get mid-budget clients who don't have very high. So when you want to start on your own, you will get all types of client. You will get low, middle, high. So when you work for firms with both, you'll get such a good experience that when you start on your own, you will have a full idea. So definitely challenging aspects would be them not respecting you, them bargaining so much about the fee, they will try to get maximum out of you and pay minimum out of you. So one thing that I would tell you is when you work for a firm, they pay you nothing. My salary was 7,000 a month back then, as low as that. Okay? And I have done it. I have literally done it. I have nothing to hide. And I still continue to work. I worked there for around 2 years, and this was in a very big company, very renowned, famous company. I don't know if you've heard of Telati Pantaki, but in Bombay, it's one of the best ones. So when I worked there, even though I was getting paid so little, the experience and the exposure I had there, I would not trade it for anything. Like today, I could not have started my firm if I didn't work there. So, like your end goal is, of course, you want to be motivated, right? Because if you're not motivated, you can't work. And if you don't get paid, you're not going to be motivated. Like being practical. So the main challenge of this is that the income which you receive initially when you're working with the firm is very, very low, almost negligible. Now I think it's become between 15 and 20 max now. So, but the good thing is when you start your own company, once you get much better at it and you get good at it, it's endless. Like now, I will not even do a project if I don't earn 2 lakhs per project, even if it's one small thing. And so it's like limitless. The better you get, the more you charge. So, like a standard fee as a complete beginner, like an interior designer, charges from 7.5. And as you keep growing, percentage. So, like on whatever your total project is, a designer gets a percentage fee usually on it. So, the starting range for a designer is normally 7.5. It can go up to 30%, depending how much you grow. So just remember this that initially, income wise, you will not be getting too much. But once you start working on your own and you're, let's say, maybe 2 years in your own business, so I would say 3 years working experience, 2 years of your own business, and then you'll be booming. So 5 years of low income, but after that, you'll be booming. So this is definitely a challenge because if you don't get enough money, you will not be too motivated. So one is respect, one is the money. These are the two I faced um, as starting as a designer and as starting as a firm. It's a whole different experience because people will just I don't know how to put it the right in a kind way, but people will just um, like try to take too much out of you, and you need to be very, very strong with no, this is what it is, and there are processes how to avoid all of that, which now I have learned. So I basically just tell you quick ways because it's very time consuming also these things. So there are a lot of shortcuts now that have come that if you basically I say that pre-plan, the more time you spend on pre-planning, the less time you spend on doing the actual work, which no one taught me back then. So that was a huge challenge for me because I would just keep redoing things. I would waste so much time on all of that. So these were the, I would say, main three challenges: cost, respect, and unnecessary doing extra work, which was not required. So smart working, basically, instead of hard working. Yeah, these would be
Do
my
you
three
have
top.
like mm, do you have a niche or do you work with all sorts of projects?
So, right now I do have a niche, but when you start off, I always say do everything so that you can see what you have liked most and what you have. There are three things. One is you should like it the most, what you can deliver the most, and what you get the most paid. These are the three main factors. So when I started off, I did everything. I did cafes, restaurants, stores, offices, houses, everything. And I did all styles as well, from modern to traditional to all design styles. But now what happened is I realized there's a certain style that I like, there's a certain type that I like designing, and I'm better at it. So now I have a more catered niche, and I feel as you eventually grow, you will understand what is your niche. So then you should only focus on your niche so that people come to you only for that. So my niche, for example, I do modern and Japandi is my design style, And residential, I do minimum 1 BHK going up to 6 BHK, but only if it fits in the modern and Japandi style. If it's traditional, I won't even go ahead. I won't even inquire. Then, for example, I've stopped doing restaurants and cafes. I only do offices and very, very, very few retail stores. That also, if it's a very great project and if it fits with my style. So there are two things. One is residence and commercial. Residence is basically all your houses. And commercial is you have a variety. You have hospitals, you have offices, you have retail stores, you have restaurants. There's a long, long thing. So I feel try to get one or two max of commercial. And you can even decide if you only want to do commercial or you only want to do residence. I personally like a balance of both because then there's some fun in it, but you can totally only narrow it down to one. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
Is there any specific reason that you have reduced your projects for these markets and like cafes? Is there any specific reason?
Simply because it's like jack of all trades, like you don't like it's like supposing, okay, let's say you have a problem, like a health problem. You can go to a general physician. Let's say if you have a I don't know, like you have a specific like bone problem. So you will go specifically to the doctor who cures about the bones, or would you go to a general physician? You'll go to a specialist, right? So if I'm a specialist in, like, for example, now I have done e-design. I don't know anyone else who does e-design. So if someone comes for e-design, I know I'll kill it. Like no one else is doing this. Like if it's rare, if you do it smaller, the smaller the niche, the better it is because you're a specialist in that. But the disadvantage is that then you don't get to do the other projects because that's not in your niche. So that's why I always say start with doing multiple types, then see which one's really, really working for you, and then stick to that niche so that you become a specialist in that. Simple
All
example is
right.
with the doctor. Like, you rather go to a general physician or you go to a specialist that way.
Okay, so do you think there is like a lot of competition in this industry?
100%. But that's one thing that never scared me. That's one thing that never
Mhm.
scared me. So two things that don't scare me is one is competition and second is afraid that someone's gonna copy my work. Because I know a lot of people who start are scared of that. You know what I say? My work is so good that you wanna copy it. So thanks. Like that's how I look at it. And second thing I feel is if my work was so easily copyable, then my work is not good enough. Then I need to like make it better. So this is my mindset. This I learned from my boss when I was working in another company. Because even I was like, but there's so many designers out there. Why do they want to come to me? Like today, if I go on a website, I will file at least 10,000 in a day. Like that's how many there are. But that's why this niche, and that's why your USP. USP is basically that one thing that keeps you different from others has to be so strong that they will come to you. And there's a whole way of building this. And the best way is trust. To build this, there is no simple way but trust and communication. Because a lot of designers, you know what they do? When they try to gain clients, they'll try to get money from internally. They'll try to do all these mistrusting methods. So I can say my USP is transparent costing. If it is 5,000 rupees, you will pay exactly 5,000 rupees, and I will make sure that you pay only 5,000 rupees. You will not pay 5,000 rupees in one also. So that's, let's say, my USP. So your USP has to be something around trust, that the client can blindly trust you. Because today you can have 10 other designers, but if I trust you, I will not go to any other designer. So 100% there is competition, but then how you stand out in front of the competition is what matters. So don't be afraid of the competition, is what I would say.
So did you learn the actualities of color palettes and material styling in the courses you did or when you were actually practicing it?
When I was practicing. In the courses, they teach you like how to draft on paper. I have never drafted on paper till date after my course. They taught me things about how a brick is laid. Today, I just tell my civil person make a wall here. I'm not going to see which brick he's using, which type of brick he's using. So, like I said, keep the course only from a perspective that you need to get a certificate and you need to get some basic idea. They do teach you certain basics like principles of design and balance of design, but very little bit of the syllabus is that. So I'm not saying you don't learn anything, but I learned a lot more in practicality because what I personally believe is take paint samples, make the samples, see what works, check Pinterest, try samples out. That's the best way to learn colors. There's no better way to learn color. No textbook can teach you colors. No textbook. It's trying out different colors, seeing images. That's how you learn the most. Yeah.
So, some common mistakes new stylists make. So, if you
In
could tell me to
stylists or
avoid those.
designers.
Designers or stylists, both.
I actually have a whole video on this which I could share with you, but basically, not knowing your pricing and materials, which is what I told you, know that very, very, very well. Um, Third is not having an onboarding process with the client prior, because if like there are certain filtration processes that you need to do. So if you don't do that in the beginning, you just realize you wasted 1 full month of talking to the client when they're not even going to be the right fit for you. So the onboarding process a lot of people skip, so that's very important. Then a lot of people they don't do the effort of doing the job opportunities before starting their own company, and then they just start. So that's another mistake because you've not learned the pros and cons of everything before you start your own. So these are very, very common mistakes. Even how to deal with contractors, the method of dealing with the contractors, the the kind of habits you make in the beginning is what comes in the end. So a lot of people don't have the habit of taking down notes and then not having contracts. So when you make all of these mistakes in the beginning, if something has gone wrong with the client, they just don't end up paying you and you've done all the work. So you've completed the project and you've not got paid. So a lot of people forget making contracts. That's a big mistake. Never start a project with a contract. A lot of people don't have documents written down so that if any misunderstanding happens, how do you clear it? So written documents, continuous updating to the clients. These are very small, small things, but people just don't do it. Communicating if something has gone wrong saves you a lot of trouble, but people will be like, no, no, I don't want to tell the client. We'll just figure it out. These are very stupid, small mistakes. I wouldn't even call them mistakes, but just habits which you think is going to save you, but it actually helps you. It doesn't like do damage. So these are some common errors I've seen in a lot of designers: not having enough knowledge, not knowing the costing, not having enough experience, taking unnecessary hidden payments from clients and vendors without the client knowing. It messes with the trust. So why do it? Yeah, these are some of the
Sure.
common ones.
And like the basic tools, software tools that I need to learn. Like those are like the
I
prerequisites.
would say AutoCAD is the best when it comes to drafting. In 3D, there are many, many, many. So I used to be 3D Max. 3D Max is one of the best ones. And with 3D Max, there are a lot of plugins which they teach you how to do it with the software, like V-Ray, little bit of Photoshop, not too much, just minor, minor you need. And you should know how to make presentations. You have your basic PPT and Excel because you need to make a lot of tables, like when you make price costings, bills. So you need to know Excel. But other than that, PowerPoint, Excel, your AutoCAD, and your 3D software, which I mentioned for now, you can write 3D Max with plugin. That's if you know this, you're sorted. You don't need to know. Um, I mean, new softwares keep coming, but that's all you need to know.
We can outsource the 3D stuff.
Oh,
So it's not
100%.
necessary that you need
No, I have not made my own 3D view in 8 years. So yeah. So,
to.
but what
So I just
happens with outsourcing is it's a cost, right? So normally what happens
Mhm.
is now I can pay that cost, but when you're starting out, you don't want to like remove out too much from what you're earning because you're not earning too much. So like there's a whole step-by-step process. Like step one, I would say make it on your own. But once you start growing a little more, then I'll say start getting a team or outsource both ways. But initially,
Mhm.
it won't be practical for you to outsource because you will not earn anything from it. You can, in fact, even outsource all your drawings. You can out there are now agencies who make all your drawings for you, end to end. So literally as a designer, you can do nothing and earn. Like it's reached that stage of life, unfortunately.
But
But
I
what
actually
am I here
like
for?
exactly.
So I'm just saying that there are options there if you need to. So it depends how much you want to scale. Like if you want to do 50 projects, you can't do all 50 or on your own. So then maybe you can be like certain I will outsource, certain I will do on my own. In general, if you want to, yes, you can outsource everything you want to do. Absolutely.
So like you said that you do not do the hand sketches, so you don't go about making those bubble diagrams, and you do nothing of
I have
that.
never made a bubble diagram in my life after the school. No. But I do have a notepad which I write every little thing that's in my head. But there's no bubble diagram that we ever have used after that. No.
So like it's not even important or useful.
It's basically like they say bubble diagram, but it's basically getting your concept together. So we make mood boards. We basically make mood boards, which is like the presentation I was talking about. So it's a bit more refined way of doing it. So bubble diagram is important, but not in the way that they teach you. I normally just make a presentation with reference images and I send it to the client. Like I said, the onboarding process is very, very important. So in that you get full clarity of what the client wants. But bubble map me, what will you exactly do? Because in fact, you have timelines, you have more refined ways of doing that same bubble map concept, is what I would do it step by step because, like, once you do these certain things, you will be in a different phase of mind on how to do the next steps. So, just first understand, like, one thing is like, I'm just temporarily liking the idea of doing interior design, but when it actually comes in, maybe I do want to do it. And this is like a long time commitment, right? So, you want to be like really sure you want to do this before you get into this. So that's why I would say do these couple of steps and then come back to me. Like, I'm guessing you should be done with this in 2, 3 weeks, time max a month. So come back to me and we can plan this whole thing out because what your next steps, what I would recommend is if the third year is possible, do it through correspondence, study a course of interior designing. So by next year, you will be done with both getting your BA degree and doing the course. And then the year after that, start with a job, like work for a small firm and a big firm, and then keep like maybe at least 3 years for both together and then you can probably start your own company. Like that's what I would suggest for you. Like this is the plan I would root out for you, right? Finish off your course. I'm sure there is a cost, and if your parents aren't supporting you, that is something also I'm guessing you might have to look at. I had to do the same, right? So for the cost, just find out something that is as minimal and as basic because you're not going to, like I said, learn much. It's more for the certificate because no job is going to take you in if you don't have a certificate, right? So you need that more from that perspective. Max do 1 year or max 2 years. I would say if you can get a course for 1 year over there, just do that. Okay. Then what I would say is apply for a small firm in your city and whatever earnings you get from that, start investing it so that what I would recommend to you is then, if it's possible, again, I don't know if this is an option for you, leave from there and work in a big firm in a bigger city. Like maybe, let's say, I know Mumbai, for example, is a great opportunity. So from the money that you earn, and the investments that you make out of that, you can use that to get a decent Airbnb or a small place over here that's close to your office and in the big firm, you will learn so much. It will be a game changer for you. You will not be able to experience that in a small city. So I would say if you can shift for like a year or 2 years, work in a big firm and pre-plan the money from the previous job that you're earning so you can use it here. And then of course you'll keep earning here too, right? So you can use that money and then eventually use that money to build your own company. And then I'll give you like ways on how you can start your own company with minimal money required for investment because I was in a very similar position. I had no financially help. Luckily, I was in the same city, so I didn't have to shift. So that was definitely advantages for me. But there are a lot of ways to do these things without spending too much and doing it, Like you have to be smart basically on how to do it. To achieve the maximum, spend the less amount of time and money. That's the goal basically. So it's all very, very possible. But for that, not this drive is really important. You should be damn hungry. Like, I want to just keep learning. And till you don't have that level, this field is so time consuming and so much of your energy goes that the only reason that keeps you going is that. Like, there were 100 reasons for me to quit. Every day I had a reason to quit. But the only reason I stayed strong is because the end value was so big for me. The end vision was so big for me that I was like, no, this will pass. So, if you don't have that support system, which you're saying ideally at the moment you don't, it's going to be harder for you. So, I'm just preparing you from all fronts mindset, monetary. I don't want to give you the pretty picture and be like, oops, this was also in the line. You rather know it all and then decide.
But you're actually helping me out so much. I mean, you think that you might be scaring me, but whatever you said, it just made me feel okay, I can actually do this.
Yeah, you can. You
So
just need a mind to do it. That's all I would say.
thank you so much. Okay, I was so confused. Like I was doing technical drawings. I was trying to learn out these perspectives, and then I was
Yeah.
learning materials, and I was like, "Oh my God, what am I supposed to do?" But you just
Yeah.
simplified it. Okay, do these three things, and then okay, then
And
we'll
give
figure out
yourself
the math.
enough time to do it because when you rush it up, right, you're just doing it for like a to-do list tick mark. But the whole idea of this exercise is to understand how much you love it. Like I did this whole same process in a month. And it gave me the whole time. Even if you take more than a month, it's fine. Just don't rush into it because this time that you're taking to understand it is what's going to motivate you to do it for the rest of your next few months or years, let's say. This is that drive you're creating for yourself to do it. So take time. Like I think I rushed into it a bit too much because I was like, oh my God, I have to figure out everything right now. But it's fine. It's okay. It'll work out.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You were like a
No worries.
lifesaver sort of a thing,
Tell
and
me
you
that when you
explained it
become
so
a designer.
simple.
I'll believe that when I see you as a designer. Not yet.
You get you will get the complete credit because when you are stuck and you get that first lifeline, it's always
Yeah.
has that soft spot. So I
Yeah.
think you're gonna be that to me.
I'm waiting for the details of yours coming and what your next step is. I'm gonna be looking forward to it. So yeah.
Sure.
All
Thank you
right, and
so
all the
much, ma'am.
best to you.
Thank you so much.
Most welcome.